You guys are going to love this episode with Claire. We just finished recording it, and I am sitting here in awe of what I learned. And I think that is because I did sort of throw myself into the mix a little bit so it could kind of be the guinea pig. It's funny when I do that really for you guys, and it ends up being like my gift, of course. And this is exactly the way that money works. But Claire has so much to share with the world, and Claire has done a lot of vertical integration work herself, and you guys will be able to tell. So I'm excited for you to have access to this episode and so that you can see yourself in this and within a short amount of time be able to get something that is going to take you into that higher level of frequency. So then you're going out and no matter what you're doing, whether it's, just randomly talking to someone on the phone, then you're literally changing the world. And that's the way that this works. We're just elevating through the frequencies and we're going out and we are being a self-expression of that higher version that we were just a few moments ago. So, yeah, enjoy. Welcome to another episode of the Spiritual Investor Podcast. I have to be honest, like I wanted to just keep talking to Claire, and it's not that I didn't want to hit record, but I also didn't want to interrupt and hit record. But then I did have to interrupt, which I hate to do, and say, no, no, what you are saying, I want other people to hear because I feel like I'm robbing people of the beautiful light that Claire is and her just what she's done, who she is in the world, all of that. And as I told her, we're here to create a space for you. I feel like I'm always creating a space or trying to create a space for you to see yourself and for you to also get something from this that you can then take out into the world. And Claire is a light. And so I encourage you to just be open to Claire and anything that comes through here and know that you don't have to take it all in. But I do feel like if you're here and you're willing to go vertical and be open, I do feel like you're going to get an answer to something that you've been seeking because Claire also has a very real-time intelligence. She's very in tune with life as it is now. So, anyways, thank you for being here, Claire.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a beautiful intro. And I don't know if it's showing up for anybody else, but your room is like undulating light to dark. Like the energy is just out of this world right now. So yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of this. I love these conversations. So there's a selfish part of me that's like, oh God, I get to talk to amazing people on the podcast. And there's another part of me, and this is probably the greater part, I think, is you're translating all this information in a way that I cannot do because it's coming through you. It's coming through your energy and your language. And, you know, even when I asked you, about yourself, it's kind of like I feel like whatever you do in the world and wherever you show up, it's like you're really there. And so can you tell me, well, tell us kind of where you were going before with regards to like a big shift that you had in your life a couple of years ago. I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So yeah, about 2.5 years ago, maybe three at this point, I was kind of doing the regular grind situation. I would just do my day job, run errands on the weekend, go out to dinner here and there. I was married at the time, and we were getting ready to go get coffee and run errands one weekend morning. And I opened the cupboard door to grab my coffee cup because I'm obsessed with reusing my same coffee cup over and over again. And the like peanut butter was on the wrong shelf. And I like grabbed the peanut butter off of the wrong shelf and like slammed it onto the right shelf. And I was like, oh, like he put the peanut butter on the wrong shelf. And then it just like was like a light switch, like, why does
Mhm.
that bother me? Like, why am I triggered? And I didn't even actually have the vocabulary of the word trigger at that point in my life. I just knew that I was reacting in a disproportional way to the circumstance. And so then I just like, went down the therapy route and, found a couple different therapists, couples therapy, individual therapy, and I ended up finding a therapist who started introducing me to things like breath work and meditation and my even just mindset work. And I ended up finding through the tunnel rabbit hole that we all tend to go down, neurosomatic work as one of I eventually got trained in that as a big modality to just really tend to my nervous system. And also throughout that path and finding, understanding that I am a soul in a human body, having a human experience on this 3D planet Earth. And I almost got down the same path of burnout with my spiritual journey as I did with my work and life. And
Mm.
it was kind of like if I just keep, like pushing and doing more in the spiritual, then I'll grow, more and faster just as I did in my pre-soul lifetime. And that actually isn't how it works. It's like tending to the nervous system is not anything we can rush or push, is really an allowing. And I think that's really ties into what you teach with allowing and being versus always having to do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so I want to go deeper on this. So you are a light and shadow work guide.
Mhm.
So I would assume that you have a certain way that you it could be from, your own teachings or your energy. I'm sure it's like a combination of all of that, sort of guiding people into, well, I won't even like put my own words in it. What do you guide people into?
Right. So I take people kind of through a guided meditation. And then from there, we ask our soul a question.
Mm.
And whatever comes up, and our soul speaks in metaphor. So there's a little bit of decoding that we do together. And then we kind of look at what's in alignment with that, what's out of alignment with that, and kind of talk through things. And then also, I do work with energy. So I do energy work. I have these tools called selenite swords. They're made by a very wonderful man, Tom Letter, and they concentrate and amplify the energy that's already in my field and the recipient's field. And it just helps to like move through, clear out blocks, energy that's non-beneficial, and then bring in more love, more light, more grace, and more gratitude. And so that's a really kind of, it's a nice way to release trauma without revisiting it and re-experiencing it. And then with the other side, the coaching aspect that I just spoke to, I also teach neurosomatic tools to signal safety within the nervous system. Because again, tending to the nervous system is, in my opinion, the kindest and easiest and most important form of self-love, because we can cognitively want things, and if our body doesn't feel safe doing it, we'll experience protective mechanisms like burnout, shutdown, just racing heart, dry mouth, sweaty palms, all the, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flop responses that we're, kind of familiar with. But also it could be pain, headaches, anxiety, sneaky things. And it might not be obvious that it's stop, protecting you. But when we begin to do things that are unfamiliar, and you talk about this a lot too, is like we're always looking for evidence. And that's
Mhm.
actually wiring in our brain, like to look for evidence for safety before moving into something new. And so being able to, again, tend to that nervous system, I was always taught regulate the nervous system, but I've really been enjoying this terminology of tending to
Yeah, I
the
noticed you
word.
said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed you said that. You know, how does that work in like a real-time environment? So I'll just share like, I'll just make myself the guinea pig here. Like, I spent all day yesterday noticing my thoughts. Like, I mean, it's to the point now where my whole life is basically a practice. The spiritual practice is my actual life, and the things that I do fit into that, including the business. And I would say the business is really just me creating a container and a structure so that I can connect with and then help people in that order, right? And even in the moment, connect with them and help them, not just from a podcast, connect with them, help them, right? So I'm very clear on that. And I've been doing this 7 years, and I'm very clear that I've just continued to get myself out of the way. Really, that's like the progression is I've just let go of the parts of me that were preventing me from doing this in a bigger way. And it's continued to grow and get bigger and bigger. And then what happens is my nervous system, if you will, using your language, has to catch up. And so what's happened is the stakes have risen. And I am like the things that I do, it's like I'm almost to a point now, and I think that other people will probably really relate to this as well, because I think we're all kind of experiencing a level of we're at the point now where we can't just sit around and let our thoughts go rampant, and then you feel the emotions in your body, and then you're taken down the river because we can't function in life. We try to, and then what happens is we're exhausted because of that, but also, and then we start to really be in the 3D world because our exhaustion alters our frequency and puts us into the I need to spend more time. My business isn't making money, all these things, right? Like when I hear that from other people, I'm like, okay, I know where they are. It doesn't even matter what's happening. I know where they are, which helps me help them. But going back to myself with this, I also notice I can be clear as a bell. Just like this morning, I did a meditation. I'm very clear. And then I got on a call this morning and I had all these triggers come up, come up, come up. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, here I go again with this mountain of emotions. What do you say about that?
Well, you're already obviously very far along in this path. The noticing is so key. And then we can provide through the neurosomatic tools a physical stimulus to the body to kind of interrupt that threat response. So, for example, there's, many, many tools, and we have an assessment process so that we know that a tool is effective because every nervous system is as unique as a fingerprint because we all have our own, lived experiences, our own ancestral lineages and places and society. So, for example, for me right now, since I get a little nervous with speaking, is I'm wearing a compression around my abdomen right now. And that
Hmm.
provides some heat and pressure to the vagus nerve. And so that helps it to feel relaxed. And so that
Hmm.
provides information to my brain that I'm safe, and it allows me to be a little more fluid and present. So, but there are, dozens and dozens of different tools that we can use in the moment. So, like you said, in the moment, you're noticing that your emotions are elevated and your body's having a reaction. You
Mm-hmm.
can pause, take a breath, do a couple of the tools that you know are positive for you, and then ideally feel better and more present and grounded. Another way this modality works is on the daily, just over time, it builds capacity to just practice the neurosomatic tools on like a regular basis. And they only take about 30 seconds a piece. And it just builds capacity. It's like a bell curve or yeah, exponential curve. It's not just like brushing your teeth where you have to keep brushing your teeth every day just to maintain. It's you do the tools, you build capacity, you build capacity, you build capacity. And
Mm,
also after, so we have the regular daily practice. We can do tools before a known stressful event if you're planning for it. If something just pops up like your call did, you can do things in the moment. You can do after stress processing. When in the wild, when animal gets, chased or caught and then
hmm
gets away, they shake.
hmm
And so that shaking really does release that stuck energy and it allows it to move through the body. And then the body can feel safe and move forward versus that trauma and that fright getting stuck and caught and then just kind of sticking in your energy field and keeping you
hmm
off out of whack and out of resonance.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Part of what I was gathering from you when you were talking is just having experienced, you getting to know you, over the last 12 weeks in the mastermind and remembering at the beginning how clear your questions were. And I would say even throughout, but I would say, and this could be the just, the way that I remember it, but I remember that you asked a lot of really on point questions. I also know that you did a lot. You went vertical. And so now what I'm gathering here is that you're always using your tools. So whatever you're doing, so in this case, this was you came into this, you know, wanting to learn about investing and money. That's why most people come in. When they leave, they're like, usually like, holy shit, I didn't know it was going to be that. But maybe you can talk about the beginning and the end because I went through and I read through your original mastermind application. And then of course I read through the form at the end when it's like, okay, tell us, who you are now. So I kind of have an idea, but I'd love to hear from you a bit more about your journey and how you kind of made that happen because I think in life we make things happen. Like we choose our experience, but then it's really up to us to make it happen. And I think you really did that in this case.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. I actually want to share a little bit of a funny story of how I found you in the first place, if that's all
Yeah.
right. I'm in a small group chat with some folks that I did my neurosomatic training with, and one of the gals is always sharing different, books and podcasts that she comes across. And at one point she shared your podcast for the rest of us to take a peek at. And I started within the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh no, not, what is this language? This is gobbledygook. It doesn't make any sense. And then
Yep.
again, I was like, what's the resistance? Like, if I'm having this strong of a reaction, like, there's got to be something here for me. So I powered through and I kept like listened to a few more and I was like, okay, I get it. Like it took, again, like you mentioned earlier, it took my nervous system a minute to catch up to the frequency that my I was resonating with. So I just always kind of chuckle when I hear that story because you weren't on my radar at all. And then I joined the clubhouse and then I like a week later the mastermind popped up and so here I am. But yeah, so all throughout, and I had some family health emergencies come up during so there was just some extra challenges there and opportunities for me to practice my tools.
Can
But
I
yeah,
ask you a question? Can
yeah,
I
go
ask
ahead.
you a question about that?
Yes.
Okay, so because I think this is a global thing that I hear in conversations in general. Okay, so you listened to the podcast and you were like, oh my God, the language gobbledygook, which it's funny because I do hear that it's a different language, although it's not a different language to me. It's like, I'm like, what are these feeling? I really didn't believe it until I heard it a zillion times. And I was like, okay, I'm obviously the weird one over here. Um,
We're just catching up to you is all.
I don't know. But then it's like, what are you catching up to, right? I don't know, people just say they have a feeling that they need to keep listening, but they don't really get it. And then usually you're right. It's like I guess it'll either drop in or they're like, screw this, and they go away, right? But here's what I wonder about this is you said that you felt the resistance. And so you went in deeper because this is what I see successful people do. And you look at like, the billionaires and the people who are just like, oh, create that I just go out and create and then I have money come in and blah, blah, blah. That I would say is probably the number one trait that I see is that they're literally willing to walk into the storm. And so what I'm hearing from you is that's what you did, and you got to the other side of that. Can you talk about that in reference to what a lot of people are talking about ease your nervous system and we just need to feel better? Where's the line here?
Yeah. I love that you just said feel better because I mean, there's emotions are just, they're not good, bad. They're just, some are more uncomfortable, but it's important to feel them all. We, you know, came to be humans to have this human experience, and that includes the anger, the grief, the upset, the betrayal, all the name it. Like, in addition to the joy and the bliss and the freedom, and it's just all part of the piano keys, right? Like, we don't want to just play like chopsticks all the time. We want the whole keyboard. But what the nervous system tools help us do is to move through those emotions and then come back to safety and or feeling safety while expressing those, bad or uncomfortable emotions that, a lot of times we resist, whereas resisting is actually where the suffering comes from.
Yes. And you know what? You just cleared up my original question that I asked you, and I just through you saw a different version of me. And the way I saw a different version of me is because you reflected back something that I couldn't see. And now that I see that, I can choose to go vertical on that. And that is, you probably already even know maybe even know what I'm going to say. But, I came into this and I said, okay, here I did all this shit yesterday and I was so clear and I spent the whole day noticing my thoughts. And then this morning I did the same thing and here I go. Right. So, and then I'm like, and then I get on a call and I get swept down the river with emotions. So what I'm seeing is that I was making myself wrong. Actually, I was making the situation be something that shouldn't be there. And I see people do this all day long with money, and I can see when they do it with money. But like my own emotions, as far as because this is more to do with like a relationship, it's so challenging for me to see. Like I feel, and I think that I actually go through this whole relationship blindness, if you will, because it's the same thing as money. And the more I go into the fire and learn about me with this, I feel like every time it helps me connect at a deeper level with people about money. And so
Mhm.
thank you for showing me that there's nothing wrong.
Yeah. And it's, a lot of times it can be from our upbringing. We were told, we were exiled if we had a big emotion, or we were told to, not react that way, or even, depending on folks' belief systems, previous lives, experiences that we don't have conscious awareness of, and that's just, it's all programmed into our DNA, and that reaction is meant to keep you safe. I mean, it is protective. And so
Yeah.
noticing in your mind, but also in your body, like, where's the safety?
Well,
And then creating.
I also have noticed because of this, um, that I have connected the story that when I am not emotionally clear, because I can feel it here, when I'm not fully clear, I am less effective in the world. So I do these little things before, like I did this, my own meditation before I got on this. I do it as a sense of responsibility to when I want to connect with someone, right? But even so, I see that I have connected that my effectiveness is lowered because of that. But that's not necessarily true. I actually have no evidence for that whatsoever. After I connect with someone, I never look back and go, oh, to think about what I was doing before. And when I'm connecting with someone, it's only real time anyways. And so the only way I'd be less effective is if I bring my experience into the present moment, which is fully my choice.
Yeah. Yeah. And the nervous system has a lot to do with our ability to be in the present moment.
Ah, yeah, see, there you
Yeah.
go. There you go.
Yeah.
So there is that's the gold there, right? So how do you feel that you how do you feel you were able to be more in the present moment with money? Because I know people are very interested in money here,
Mhm.
just as a function of, and you can even talk about the work that you did. I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. It just feels a lot more like neutral, like you teach about neutrality when it comes to money. And instead of me like pedestaling it and feeling like it's this thing I have to go chase after and like it's in the future, I just was able to ground in and connect and just develop a little bit more of a mm, like a gentler relationship with money and finances in general. And it just, yeah, the training and the caretaking in the group and
Mhm.
the resonance of safety around money, it like bleeds out and we all kind of tune to that frequency. And it feels like a friend. Like I'm
Mhm.
just catching up with my friend each week when I have my money day. So
Wow.
yeah.
That is great. And what do you do on your money day?
So okay, yeah, my money day, I use YNAB as my like budget money management system. So I go through my YNAB and I reconcile my accounts and then I go into my investing account and I see what stocks call to me and I usually buy a couple stocks on my money day now
Wow.
and I just yeah, I do it from a play like a little bit of a date, like make it
Hmm.
just kind of fun and special and enjoyable.
And what did things look like in the beginning? You could talk about the investing account or your money management or anything.
Yeah, well, before I started, I had nothing in the investing account.
Okay.
So as a result of the mastermind, I opened an account. I started investing.
Uh,
I don't feel scared to buy stocks. And now I have mm, a decent little amount of money in my investing account, and it's making me like a decent little amount each month. And that's starting from zero. So I definitely
Wow.
have made back my investment in the mastermind
Wow.
just within those short weeks. Yeah.
That is so great. And it sounds, I mean, from what I'm getting, it sounds like your money day is pretty much like you have an energetic agreement with that. It doesn't sound like it's something that you need to like hammer yourself over having to do.
Yeah.
So when I see that, which I love, that to me means that it's an embodiment. It's just it's part of you, and I think that that's what we're all looking for. Like I don't want like things on a to-do list. Like I want it to be a natural expression of me. That way I don't have to spend my energy doing it.
Mhm. Yeah. It takes me less than an hour to do all.
Does
I
it?
know you try to get us down to like 10 minutes, but
Yes.
I mean I do enjoy it, but not in like an addictive way. Like it's not a
Oh, that's great.
frantic like it's just a very like neutral, nice place to come to every week. And I want to say too, I been kind of pondering this a little bit about what is like part of your magnetism. And you've probably heard of Dr. Lem and the Ho'oponopono. He took over administration of like a mental hospital that had like the worst reputation for like turnover and people not healing. And, he came in there and didn't really work with the patients. He kind of just went through their files and felt their true selves, their potential, and he met them there versus
Mhm.
meeting them, in their current state. And I honestly think that's what you do. That's kind of what drew me in is the way you talk of like, you're already doing this, you're already doing this. And then I'm resonating and I'm like, I am already doing this. And then I take actions that reflect I'm already doing this. And so I just wanted to reflect that to you. And I don't know if that's been reflected to you before, but that witnessing of the future self draws us to that future self in an easeful way. So thank you for that.
Wow. Thank you for that. Thank you for reflecting that back. It's so helpful, I will say, to hear it's really where's the connection point on the spectrum, you know? Because I can spend all my days, just like yesterday and this morning, trying to opening myself up to the best of my ability and then get swept down the river, notice to get the whole thing's a practice, right?
Yeah.
And then still not have any idea of the connection point, right? Which also probably I would say changes over time. So I really appreciate hearing that from you, and I really appreciate you um, being open to it as well, because I think that's equally as important. Like you, you allowed me to temporarily hold that space for you as well, right? And you're right, I do hold only the potential of people that I work with, especially, right? But I would say in general. And when I work directly with people, like 12 weeks and it's twice a week and we get in there, right? There's like emotions, there's everything. It's a very close hold. It's such an honor though, because I'm different because of you. Like I really admire the way that you go vertical on things. And I felt that in your energy in the very beginning. Like, I knew in the very beginning that you were going to be successful in the mastermind. And that's really funny how I just knew that. And then reading your experience at the end, and it was the specific things that you did. But what really jumped out to me is there was a different energy at the end. And maybe it would be helpful to you even if I reflect that back. You were very focused in the beginning. I think you're just focused in general as a human, but you were very focused on the results and the things that you wanted to achieve. And I think we're always to a certain degree focused on that, but sometimes we're focused on it to a point where energetically the starting point is what we don't have.
Mhm.
And at the end, you were just as focused, but you were very focused on what you had created. And there was much more of you in the language. In the beginning, there was, how do I do this? Here's what I want. And in the end was, I did this and I'm different now.
Mhm.
And I want you to know that that's you and how powerful that is, because I think the container is just long enough in order to sort of solidify things. Like I on purpose don't do a year-long mastermind
Yeah.
because I'm like, for me, I just want to get in and get out anyways. Like I want to go deep on, I want the accelerated path. But I think the container is long enough to allow you to play, because just like me getting swept down the river, you're going to get swept down the river too, in some ways with money. In fact, like if you don't, and here's me seeing myself again, if you don't, you're almost not doing it quote unquote right, right? And then here's me seeing myself. So, do you see how the abundance is equal? And I think that that is what we're aiming for in anything that we do in life, even if it's a conversation at the grocery store.
Mhm.
But we don't get to determine that abundance. We can only go out there with full light, which is what you guide people to do. You're literally
Right.
guiding people to open themselves up more to their own light. You have opened me up. Can you see? Because I would like for you to receive that. You have opened
Yeah.
me up in ways that I did not have access to before having this conversation with you. And I feel certain you have opened up so many people by this in a very similar way because they're seeing themselves in me and in you. And they're going to go out and they're going to have a conversation in a different way that is going to be elevated because of you.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, the shadow work, it sounds scary, but really it's just integrating more pieces of ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and just coming home to our true selves. And yeah, just releasing that fear can be hard because it has been protective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just want to know, and we can kind of, wrap it up here. I mean, I could talk to you all day. I want to know, like, what do you want and what are you going to do from this place now?
Mm. I, yeah, I would just love to keep expanding the wealth and on behalf of the collective and, keep reaching people that are ready to continue to heal on their path and be more expressive of themselves, which is also, me working on my own expression. So we always kind of start teaching the thing we need, and that's definitely true for me. Um, and yeah, just helping people on their journey to find their truth beyond their pain, really.
That's amazing. Okay, so I've got another question for you. What what would you do if it was beyond outrageous? Like, what is it that you want to do that would be beyond outrageous is a better way to say it, even to the point that you almost can't say it out loud.
Ooh. I would live on retreat. I would just always be on retreat.
What's that mean?
Just being on any old, like all the retreats. I always love being on retreats.
Is
So
that
maybe
going?
one day I'll offer something like that, but we'll see.
Ah, so living on retreat would be you having retreat. So would that mean people coming to you in person?
Yeah.
Okay, so what would that give you?
Mm. Community, connection, growth, freedom, peace.
Hmm. Okay. How are you not letting money partake in that plan?
Mm. Well, I haven't offered any retreats yet, so
Mm.
I guess I better get on that. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. When we spend time somewhere, I think this is our standards now in this new world paradigm. If we're going to exchange our beautiful energetic currency, all of us, then we want to actually go somewhere. We want to actually change someone's life. We want to actually change ourselves. We want to, and it doesn't, and not as a function of doing, but as a function of service. And you being out there and being closer in the world, I already know. I have very strong feeling it's an elevated service for you to do that. And you really don't even have to do anything different than you're doing now, other than probably book a place for a retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anything else that you would like to share with anyone here? Because you are magnificent, and I know that people are going to want to connect with you. But is there anything that you feel like needs to come through as something that you would want to tell people or share?
Hmm. I've just had this really beautiful metaphor around rainbows come through, so I would just kind of like to share really
Yes.
quickly about that. So I've been seeing a lot of rainbows lately, and I think we've just been getting a little bit more rain than usual in Colorado, so I've had more opportunities. But I'm thinking about what are the necessary ingredients for a rainbow? And before that, even like, can we all just agree how special rainbows are to see
Hmm.
them and witness them and just yeah, they have all the colors of the chakras and like nothing's a mistake. So rainbows are magical and I love them. And there's ingredients of a rainbow are there's got to be rain happening somewhere. There's got to be sunshine shining into the rain. And there has to be the perspective, like where are the eyeballs? So that the person viewing the rainbow has to be between the sun and the rain and looking at the rain in order to see the rainbow.
Hmm.
And so I think it just really beautifully kind of ties into the shadow work of like there is beauty in the darkness
Hmm.
always, even if it's hard to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for this. I've just realized so many things, and it's you're an amazing reflection, because you have a way of putting potential in the space but not impacting the space. So,
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. And I have no doubt that people have been able to see themselves and get what they need from this. So thank you for listening and for just being here with Claire and I in this magical space.